welcome one of my favourite photographers, Rachell Smith, to the show.
Oh my God, I finally see it. I was so vulnerable in that meeting, but it really was a journey for me.
Is AI a threat?
That is a good question.
Are you refusing to shoot anything like that?
I certainly would not be that person.
Oh wow, okay.
So,
and you turned out that level of work in 30 seconds?
Yes.
I mean, okay, you've got two of the most gorgeous people in the world there.
That helps. It really didn't embody the artist that I really wanted to become.
Do you ever pinch yourself? Hi, I'm Karl Taylor. Welcome to Visual Education Live. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome one of my favourite photographers, Rachell Smith, to the show. Rachel, we shook hands already,
I know.
but let's just do it for the camera.
I know.
Last time we spoke was nearly 5 years, well, no, we've spoken in between that, but last time I interviewed you was nearly 5 years ago. The whole pandemic and everything meant we had to do it remotely. We're going to dive into some more questions, some new questions with you, look at some new work. Before we do, let's just recap on some of Rachell's work and what she does. Rachel, superb. Pleasure to have you here in person. Yeah, Ben did that. He's very good at that. That's his job. Absolute pleasure to have you here in person this time. What sort of photographer would you call yourself? What genre is it? I mean, just for our audience, what would you say you are as a photographer? Do
you know, it's such a fascinating, it's such a simple question, but it's actually a very complicated one for me because I don't quite consider myself as a fashion photographer because I'm very invested in photographing people. Yes. Obviously, I mainly concentrate on talent, people that are promoting films, actors, musicians, people that are in the public eye. Mm-hmm. But fashion's a huge part of what I do as well to achieve the outcome of what I'm doing. So the answer is that when people always ask me that question, I always just say that I am a people photographer, if I'm honest, because I feel like the word celebrity doesn't quite fit anymore. The fashion word doesn't quite fit anymore. The beauty word doesn't quite fit anymore.
Right, so it's difficult to put a genre on it.
It's always something that I find very, very hard to pinpoint.
But you don't photograph sort of normal people, do you, anymore? They are usually quite famous.
Yeah.
So
I'm a photographer. I mainly photograph talent. People that are in the public eye. But then again, saying that, I do work with a lot of beauty brands, fashion brands. So I mean, I suppose in short, really, it's a portrait, fashion, beauty photographer.
So it could be
I'm not just
portrait / celebrity / fashion photographer.
I know.
Okay.
But it all
they haven't made a genre for that yet.
No,
but we'll think of a new name.
Yeah.
Right. As I mentioned, it was nearly 5 years ago that we had you on the show, but obviously we had to do it
Yeah.
remotely with the pandemic and everything else.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed from the images we looked at back then to the selection that you sent me now is that you seem to have gone a little edgier, a little darker, a little bit more dynamic, more shadows, more mysterious. Would you say your style and your lighting have changed since we spoke last? And if so, why?
I have so much to say about this. So I was really keen to come back and obviously do this, as you know, because I recognised after that last conversation, and I think the pandemic really gave a lot of us a chance to actually just stop and really think and kind of reevaluate, you know, just life and ourselves and more for me and my work. And what I realised was, if I'm being really honest, that I knew technically I was a great photographer, but I really didn't feel like the Rachell Smith, the artist, was really shining throughout my work.
Okay.
I felt like I was like pleasing everybody else and not really. It's not like I'm not proud of that work, and I don't think it's beautiful, but it really didn't embody the artist that I really wanted to become. So what I did, this is a bit of a long-winded answer, but I promise it's worth it. So actually, what I did an exercise which was brilliant, and I actually do this every year to reassess my portfolio and to see where I can grow and move on. I put probably about 200 of all of my best work that I thought was my best work up to date, and I put it all on a board and I stared at it for 2 days straight.
Okay, that sounds quite
It
daunting.
sounds quite epic, I know, because I had the time and I just really wanted to just look at everything. And my sister has always been very brutally honest with me. She's really. She says it in a nice way, but she's very good at being very honest with me. So I brought her in and I said, "What do you think about this?" And I kind of already, and it's funny, it's like sometimes you look at something and you already know the answer, but it's not until somebody says to you that you then, a light bulb goes off and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, she's so right. So she looked at it and she said, technically brilliant photographer, but I don't know what I'm going to get from you.
Okay, so it was a bit all over the shop, was it?
Yeah, it was like you've got some really soft pictures, and then you've got some pictures on location and studio, and then you've got, I don't know, she didn't know what she was going to get from me.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if somebody, a client or anybody wanted to employ me for a shoot, what are they going to get? What do you embody? What are your values? Like, what am I going to get in terms of the lighting, in terms of the direction, in terms of the mood, you know, in terms of the personality, the emotion, all those things.
Now, I have to say, the work we've seen out of you in the last 5 years, I consider to be absolutely stunning and superb. And it has got a more edgy dynamic. Is that intentional? Is that more your personality?
So what I realised was that I really like empowering people, and with a lot of the soft lit stuff and all the stuff that I was doing before didn't really embody that. So what I did was, and this was one of the most difficult things I've had to do, was to basically unpick my entire portfolio up to date. This was 5 years ago, up to date at that point, down to about 20 pictures.
Right.
And what I realised out of those 20 pictures, and it was so hard to remove a lot of the stuff that I'm proud of and that I've done up to date, just down to 20 pictures, almost like you're starting from scratch. What I realised when I looked at those work, and it wasn't like one or a couple of particular things, but what I realised was that the lighting's more dramatic, it's more moody. The person, how I directed the person and how that person's coming across in that picture was when they felt really good and really empowered, because I remember all of my shoot experiences. So I was like, oh my God, I finally see it. So this was my path and this was my direction. That's what I excel in. And then from that exercise, everything just became so clear to me, and I just really stuck to it. And then not long after that, I had my daughter, my beautiful who's now three years old, and something just really awakened inside of me. I just really wanted to, I don't know, I think becoming a mother, I want my daughter to grow up feeling empowered and feeling like a strong woman, and that she can have a big voice and she can do. all of the things that her mummy's done, you know, and I know it sounds silly, but
I
really did have an epiphany, and I think it's really important for any artist to you know, maybe it isn't for everybody, but to actually really reassess and to look at your work and how do you feel about it, and what are your values? Are they in there? And I think what it comes from, if again I'm being really honest, I think it comes from earlier on in my life. I'm very, very grateful to have such a supporting family. My parents were always very encouraging. Go and do photography if that's what you want to do. Yeah, be an artist and all that stuff. But I think trying to break out of the industry and do all those things, just feeling like the small person, feeling like I don't have a bigger voice, or like, you know, it was a real journey for me to get to this point. And I think that finding my own empowerment and that journey and actually having the confidence to experiment, to do these things and to create the work that I really, really want to do and I want people to come to me for. I think the result of this is all a result of my own journey. Does that make sense?
You've gained that empowerment for yourself, but then you're also projecting that onto your subjects now and empowering them more with your new lighting style, if you would call it that. I mean, I still thought some of your older work was amazing anyway, but it's clear to see that definitive shift in style. Okay, let's move on to another question, if I may. As a female photographer, do you find that you photograph more women or more men? And are there any differences in your approach to each?
There really isn't. It's funny, I definitely do photograph more women. But it's not through choice, if I'm honest. I think, some of it is choice, especially, you know, now I've got my own magazine and I'm kind of, you know, having all these suggestions of talent and everything. But the process is exactly the same. But yeah, I mean, I equally love photographing as long as it's a person, and I can have a conversation with them and get them really excited about something. It doesn't make a huge difference for me, but yeah, I think if you look at my portfolio, it's obvious that there is a slightly more women than there are men.
Is that because you're a female photographer, you get booked more for that, or is that nothing to do with it?
I think so, and I had this conversation with somebody else recently that, and I'm totally okay. I'm really happy to say this, that I have 100% been booked before on jobs because the talent or whoever have requested a female photographer because I don't know, maybe they just felt a bit more comfortable. And I'm, you know, again, totally okay with that. That's fine. I think it's just whatever works best for them. So, you know, it is, you know, a nice
but you're
little
equally
advantage.
At home with either.
Yeah.
Now, what's the average celebrity shoot look like? How long do you have to take the photographs? Do you preconceive the shoot in advance, the ideas for it, the styling, etc.? And how many crew work with you on the average shoot? Sorry, there's the multiple questions there.
I know, I'm going to have to come back.
I'll come back to each one. Let's start with how long do you have on average for a celebrity shoot?
Oh my gosh, so I mean, I can literally have, sometimes I can have minutes, and then sometimes I can have like 6 hours.
Oh wow, okay.
So I don't know if you can go back to the Austin Butler and Anna Damares.
Oh, that's slide number 3, I think.
Number 3,
yeah, there we go.
So, I mean, just to give you really a little bit of a backstory on this one. So this was shot 2 years ago at the BAFTA Film Awards party. And I had a little section at the National Gallery, and it was kind of like after the kind of red carpet bit, and
what, you
know,
set
we
up
were
a little
trying
studio?
to get, had a studio area set up, but it was, I mean, I literally had, I think maybe not even 30 seconds each.
And you turned out that level of work in a mobile studio in 30 seconds?
Yes, but it was very, very planned for days.
Right.
So I always look for simplicity in my work, but I want it to look like I have literally spent hours doing it, because I really value the kind of craftsmanship of it, and I don't want it to look like I've just had 30 seconds with someone.
Yeah, of course.
So my approach for something like this, obviously, is very different to if I've got 6 hours with somebody, but I would spend days designing the lighting, thinking about the techniques, how I can very quickly, I'll have literally Zoom calls with my team. I mean, because of the tight time restrictions with this, I did have quite a big team. I think there was about a team of 10 of us, because we're also filming as well. So we had to go between the film and the stills very quickly.
Right.
But as soon as somebody would walk in, and I would say our like particular keyword of, you know, okay, now we're going to stills, now we're going to film. So within seconds, my team knew exactly how to switch it. And then just to mention, sorry.
Yeah, no, I've got another.
And then just to mention, because I wanted them to look powerful, and I wanted them to really look directly into my camera. I'd already
stunning.
I'd already planned out that very small sentence or 3 words that I would say to them, because I knew that I would have literally, again, seconds to say, can you do this? And that was, okay, now can you obviously stand there, can you look straight through the camera and think about all the people that have empowered you in your life?
Wow, okay.
Or, you know, strong, powerful eyes straight down the lens.
Right.
And so, like, even though my direction is normally, I have more time with someone, especially on an editorial level, in situations like this, it's all very precisely planned.
And in that planning, did you test your lighting on assistants in advance to check what it looked like? And you worked it out. Because you've got like exposure techniques there with sort of like motion blur and things going on. So it's not something you can just go, oh, I'm going to do this. Yeah, so you've got it all worked out.
All planned out.
Yeah, so you've got no time at all to do it, but you've got plenty of time to plan it.
The only thing is that if, obviously because of the nature of this shoot, you know, you're having people with obviously lots of different skin tones. So me and my assistants have to, you know, you have to become like human, like me to readers, don't you? So, you know, so changes, if there's, depending on skin tones, they just have to know how to very quickly do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Superb though. I totally didn't know they were shot on location. I thought those were like a studio session where you had time, because the results are just stunning. I mean, okay, you've got 2 of the most gorgeous people in the world there.
That helps.
But no, they are superb. And was it a conscious choice for these, for example, to go black and white, or did they request black and white? Was that your choice?
I mean, I mean, speaking with the BAFTA, the photography team at BAFTA, it was kind of our choice, really. I think that they're such an iconic, you know, British you know, organisation, that I think that the sort of black and white kind of
suited it.
It does, I shoot for them a lot. We are doing more colour actually, but I think because of, again, the tight turnaround, and I don't really like to overly retouch my pictures as well. Sometimes going into black and white is actually more of a decision of kind of the fast pace of something. So if you're in the studio and you've got a longer shoot, how big would your team be working with you on that? Oh gosh, so it really, I mean, God, I mean, this is one thing I love about my job, because every shoot is so different. But I'd say on average, I've got a team of like 2 or 3 assistants. And that's for the stills crew. And then if we're doing motion as well, then you'll have a couple of other people, like a DOP or camera op, and then somebody helping with the lights for the film. But I would say for like more of the editorial cover shoots, just for example, you'd be lucky if you get maybe like 6 hours. I think that the least is probably maybe like 4, but it really does depend how long the talent feels like they're needing glam, and I think having those conversations beforehand are really important. So I had a shoot recently where the talent, you know, requested that they needed to be in glam for 3 hours, and that's fine, because I've got a process, and it's how they kind of, you know, maybe perhaps then they don't love the photography part of their kind of press run or their shoots, and they just need that time to you know, spend with their team that they travel with. So then I'm like, okay, well, I need at least 2 hours to shoot, so then therefore we need at least 5 hours. So it really just depends. Whereas, you know, somebody else might only need an hour in glam. So you kind of work it out like that, really. But the one thing that I must say is that it is really it's a crazy experience because I want to push things as creatively as I possibly can. But when you've only got like a couple of hours to do it, you have to, I've learned over time how to do it really quickly. And by doing that now, I have such a precise way of working, and a lot of it is actually in the pre-production. So I probably overly obsess about it, if I'm honest, but sometimes now I'll even like write a poem, or I don't want to just go to a shoot with just like visuals and be like, oh yeah, I want to do something like this.
Right.
I find that like there's so much content that we're all consumed with so much these days that I just feel like that doesn't feel like enough for me anymore. I don't find it inspiring anymore. So I'll come up with a character or a poem, or like I'll sketch a lot. And I think in a very abstract way. So sometimes I won't even look at anything. I'll just do my research on the person, and I'll just literally pen and paper, and I'll just start sketching the frame, whether it's portrait, landscape, and I'll draw lines, and I'll think about it in a graphic way. And then, you know, sometimes it doesn't go to plan, but actually having all of these elements and having a character and kind of a mood, or maybe you're referencing, you know, an artist from the past or a film or anything, it really helps to really get that
That's
person really invested in what you're doing.
I like what you're saying there, because you're sort of almost drawing on other creative resources to inspire you, not just using reference images. You're actually going to other forms of creativity, such as poems, etc., and then building the shot from there. Now, I think you mentioned sometimes with these subjects, you have a Zoom call in advance to discuss the shoot as well?
Yeah. Not... most of the time we wouldn't have a Zoom call, but we would have, so for Define, for example, which is my magazine, which I know we'll talk about later, my casting director, Annabelle, who's been with me from the start, she's brilliant. We'll kind of have those conversations. She'll have those conversations. I'll kind of have those conversations through her, if you like. So there's a lot of like emailing back and forth. You know, sometimes there is the odd phone call, but generally everyone's just too busy to jump on a Zoom these days.
Brilliant.
Which is fine.
Look, do you see what's the magic light bulb has come on? That means we have a question from our audience. So if Emma could fire that into us, please.
Yep, I've got a question here from James. Do you have any tips on how to get your subjects to be comfortable in front of your lens?
Oh, I've got loads. I think that you have to be really comfortable. You have to be really authentically yourself. Because what I've found over the years is that people really do mirror your energy. Everybody looks at you for direction, and I'm not just talking about verbal direction. So if you're really confident and you're really put them at ease in a really calm, nice way, you explain to them what they're doing. If you know that you're going to be photographing somebody that's never been in a studio before, never been in an environment like that, you have to put yourself in their shoes. So sometimes actually what I will do is that if I'm recognising that maybe I'm photographing somebody who I recognise is a little bit nervous, and I normally can spot that as soon as I meet them when they walk in, I will make sure that when we're setting up, I'll actually just sit in the spot that I want them to be, and just kind of just see everything happen and go on, and then be like, okay, well, how am I feeling right now? I'm feeling very intimidated. So then I'll change things. I might ask people to not stare. I might ask people to just mingle, to chat, to just kind of give us that first 10 minutes on set. So they're not just, you know, it's really easy for people behind me to just sort of stand there, because they're obviously it's a good thing, they're invested, but you know, they're making the person feel uncomfortable. So it's just being really aware of the space and talking to them. You know, making sure, it sounds so simple, but offering them some drinks, some food, the right music, ask them what music they want to play, what makes them feel, you know, calming and feeling at ease. And I think that, like, if they really feel that energy from you, then they also will feel the same.
So
does that answer that question?
Projecting your confidence helps them as well. No, that definitely answers that question. Is there another question?
I've got one more,
Yeah, let's have another one.
A question from Gary. As a director of people, especially under time constraints due to the talent, what word would you describe your direction? soft, encouraging, a general?
Oh, I mean, I feel like
Get
I'm
it done.
I feel like I'm over. Yeah, I'm like, come on, quick. Yeah, I'm
Encouraging,
like, let's go. Without using this word too much, I would say it's quite an empowering way of doing it. I am very energetic and quite overly excited sometimes. Bubbly,
Yeah.
very but I'm so invested in what we're doing, and I really want everyone to get the best.
Passionate.
Yeah, and it's not just the direct and the subject. It's easy to forget. It's how you're directing everybody else as well.
Yeah.
Because you want the team to feel their best creatively too.
Yes.
So it is. I am very I mean, my assistants laugh at me because I'm always tripping over the wires and because I'm very
Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, it's quite a direct, quite powerful style.
Yeah.
Whether that is
I
the
think it's your
style.
energy. I think you've got great energy, and that's what it is. Right. Here's a little funny question for you. I know you can't possibly tell me who the worst celebrity to work with is, but can you tell us which celebrities you've enjoyed photographing the most and why?
Yeah. I mean, without sounding too boring, I mean, I really, really do enjoy most people that I photograph. I think just because I think the huge reason what I do is that I really enjoy. I'm such a people person. I love meeting everybody from all backgrounds and whatever. But I think just because it's been this year and it's kind of the top of my head, there have been a couple of people that I have photographed this year that I've really, really admired and just absolutely loved meeting. One was Cate Blanchett, who I've always admired, and I mean, as soon as she walked in,
she's stunning as well, isn't she?
I mean, she's strong, powerful woman, talented. She really understands the creative process.
She's been in front of the camera a long time, many years now. There's the ones with the yellow dress as well. These are beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this and how you shot this, just for our audience and the photographers that are watching.
I mean, I was actually really. I think this is a Victoria Beckham design, but in actual fact, this was really driven by Cate because So obviously the stylist did a great job in pulling such amazing clothes, and we were really inspired by this piece actually, which I'm pretty sure it's Victoria Beckham, and I think the way I really wanted to obviously incorporate my kind of high contrast, spots of light, that kind of mood, and you can see a lot of the dark shadows on the fabric, but I must say it really was Cate just realising that. Oh, we've got a lot of movement in this outfit. It's so beautifully designed, and the style of it, that she just started throwing it up. Yeah. And then I got so excited. And I think what's brilliant is that I didn't miss those shots. I recognise it could have been very easy for me to have just stood there and to be like, oh, the light's not right yet. But she's doing these. She's just doing it.
So you're just shooting.
So I just shoot it, and this is what we got.
Transparency through the fabric, and that's just stunning, superb.
Yeah.
If you consider the type of work that you do, obviously shooting or directing, fashion or celebrity portraits, what percentage of sort of different genres do you do? What's your percentage of work in that, or work in this, or work in this? Can you sort of divide it at all?
I mean, I kind of divide. I'd say I divide my time. I've got commercial clients and then my editorial work, and I've always been, or I try to be, very good at making sure that I've got both going on at the same time, because the editorial stuff obviously is different because you have more creative freedom with that, whereas the commercial stuff, which is a slightly different way of working, but I still love it because you're still creating and you get to work with different people, and there's that you're working towards a brief and you're trying to, bring that to life for someone. But for me, I feel like over the years when I've spoken to, maybe a stylist or hair and makeup people that are my friends, that they've found themselves in a really tricky situation where, you know, I've just done way too much editorial stuff this year and now I'm broke. I'm scared. I need to get some commercial clients.
Working, yeah.
And that's a really dangerous space to put yourself in. Yes, we all want to have creative freedom and we all want to, you know, just do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But, you know, you also need to survive and make money.
Yeah, pay the bills.
And pay the bills. So for me, it has always been, I need to make sure that I'm putting my energy on by doing both, because I enjoy both, and the commercial work does allow me to do this stuff as well. So, you know,
filming has come very much more into your role as well now, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's quite natural. I think it is it's so natural now for photographers to do that, and it's really, I'd say most shoots there's a film crew as well now.
Yeah.
So we're
directing that film.
Yeah. So we take the still shot, and then again it's all very well planned, and then we want to capture the motion version of that immediately afterwards. So the transition of that has to happen quite smoothly. But I don't want to. I actually prefer not to break between those moments, because I feel like I've directed and got the subject to a certain point that, like, I want that empowerment to keep up. I don't want them to, like, dull down
so
and
you
then
do
have
a
to
very
do it
quick
again.
changeover.
So I prefer,
and just keep it going.
Yeah, but I think I'd say probably do more portraiture than anything. But again, you could say the lines are blurred, because there's a lot of fashion and beauty with it as well. But yeah, I think for me, it's important to keep the commercial and the editorial stuff the same.
Yeah, absolutely. You're popular today.
Perfect time for this question. So Paul has asked, on average, how many photo shoots or projects do you do in a year? And how long do you work on each project, including the shoot, post and pre-production?
It's a really good question. So before I had my daughter, or say maybe before the last interview that we did, which was 5 years ago, was it 2020? It was the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was shooting a lot more, because I guess I was getting paid less, so I was shooting more to cover the bills and all that sort of stuff. And also I was just like saying yes to everything. Which isn't a bad thing, by the way, but then when I had my epiphany, and I had my awakening, and then I became a mom and I had my daughter, and I just wanted to be a bit more choosy, and I really, really so badly wanted people to come to me with a brief and to be like, we want what you do best.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that I get that now. It's like all my work's really paid off with that, and I'm completely forgetting the question here, but I will go back onto it. So I would say now, on average, 1 or 2 shoots a week.
That's a lot, really.
Which is enough for me.
Or so shoots a year.
But you know, but then saying that again, I can have 2 weeks where I've got nothing.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, my quietest month is always August, because everyone's on holiday.
Yeah.
But then I might have 4 shoots in 1 week. But I would say, to level it out, it's normally 1 or 2 shoots a week. And then the time that I spend on a project, and I really put my 110% into every shoot that I do. If I'm going to say yes to something, so I really go in full. So to be honest, it could be weeks of pre-production work where I'm on and off phone calls and really thinking about it, and then obviously the shoot is the most fun bit, and then the post-production can probably last another like 1 or 2 weeks. So you're looking at like a good,
What I love about that, though, is that you've now determined the style that you're happy with. You're happy with what you're shooting, or you certainly sound like you're happy with what you're shooting. And the gist I kind of just read between the lines there as well is you're probably getting paid more now that you've got your own style and people are booking you for that style.
Yeah.
So that's actually all worked out really well. The whole epiphany thing was the best thing ever.
I know. And you know, and like my sister's going to love this, but she really helped me. And the one thing that I did want to really point out to you and like everyone listening is that it's trusting yourself, and it's the power of the word no, as well, isn't it? And I think like I'm doing this because I really want to love every single shoot that I'm doing, and you know, it's hard, but sometimes saying no to stuff is hard. It still is now, but like I have to. I know that comes from a place of hard work and
you've
you know,
built your way up to that.
I understand that not everybody, you know, I certainly couldn't say no as I do now 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But it is, I think it's
That's good.
It's
That is great to hear.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that question yet because I'm mid-roll here. This one I think is quite important. I'd like to know a lot more about this. In 2024, you started a new magazine called Defined. Now, that's a very bold move because in my eyes, magazines, certainly print magazines, the market has been going down. Why would you do this? Why did you want to do it? What's the story with Defined, please?
Yes. Where do I start? I'm very creatively driven. You know, obviously we just talked about, you know, you need to make money and survive and also have a happy life and go on holiday and eat and all that sort of stuff. But I am very creatively driven, and I was at a point where I really wanted to do something that I could call my own, and I really, and still do, love shooting for other publications and working and really admire and shoot with other editor-in-chiefs and fashion directors and all the teams that come with it. But it really was, I mean, I just kind of, I literally did just obsess over thinking about it for a couple of weeks, and then really thought about how I could make it different. And I thought, okay, well, why don't I just start a magazine online for now that really just does it really embody like all my values, and that and those values are you know, empowering people, making sure that everybody, including the talent, is creatively involved. So, for example, when my casting director Annabelle will, you know, once we've confirmed a talent, they'll go into it knowing that I'm going to ask them questions like, okay, so how are you feeling at this moment in your life? Is there anything that you would like to explore that maybe you haven't done visually yet? Because it's normally part of their press run. So if they're promoting a big film or releasing some music. And I know I really love capturing talent in those press runs because it's a way of them like expressing themselves creatively, completely different to their character that they've just played or whatever. Okay. So I really wanted Define is a space for not only me and the teams, but the talent to actually have more creative freedom and self-expression. Like it really is. Okay. We kind of art direct.
So it's almost like a portrait of the person, but literally as well as photographically.
Yeah.
In this magazine format.
Yeah.
Now, two questions related to that. One, I think you said to me that you are looking at going to a print version, which I.
You're like, why?
I'm like, what? But we'll come to that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that just sprung to mind then is this not in competition to any of your clients, or do they not feel threatened by it?
No, I've had these conversations with other editors that I work with, and you know, I mean, you get like. When you think you have photographers that shoot for multiple different magazines, it's the same thing, really.
Yes.
And
except this is your magazine.
Yeah, I know. But if anything, they actually admire it.
Right. Okay.
You know, I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I mean, who knows? And I did wonder that myself, and I did think it. But it's so wonderful to just throw out the kind of rule book and to, you know, a lot of the time when you shoot for somebody else, there's commercial constraints, or you have like, you've got to please the advertisers, or, you know, this has to be shot a certain way. We have to get this look on the cover. You know, we're going to choose that photograph for the cover because it works best for our title, our cover lines. You know, it has to be, you know, 3/4 shot or whatever. With Define, we don't work that way because I'm all about the best. Let's choose the best photograph together, which I do with the talent, which really embodies everything that we want to say about this shoot and about this defining moment in your life, and work. You know, obviously it's all very simple. I mean, it's just their name and the cover title, but we'll work that around the best photograph instead of the other way around. So it's really nice. It is like the best sort of art project that I could ask for. But really,
you said you're going to go to look at print editions of these. That's quite an expensive process, and there's obviously some risk coming with that. Given that a lot of the print run magazines readership has declined.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts then on that?
It's really interesting because I've listened to so many podcasts. I've thought about it for such a long time. And, you know, I mean, it's even like, you know, the books that you've got here, you know, when you're kind of sitting in your office and if you have a moment to yourself, I don't know whether you find this, but I'll still pick up a book and there's just something so beautiful about it. And I don't think that will ever be removed from the human experience. It's the touching it, it's looking at the picture in a different way. It becomes something else, and it has a new life when it's in print. And I do think that both do go hand in hand. And I think that the first issue or special edition, if you like, it won't be a huge print run, but it will be more of an art collective book as opposed to like a monthly sort of like thin magazine.
So is this currently monthly, or is it quarterly, or is it just whenever?
It's kind of whenever, but we're really sort of sticking to like one every like 1 to 2 months.
Okay.
We'll just feature. So there's no like news. There's no like news articles. We're kind of an alternative to the mainstream. So like there's not. It's not really kind of like a news. There's not like news articles that are constantly coming out every day. It really is about honouring the kind of artistry of the cover image or the shoot, if that makes any sense. So I think
it does make sense.
I think with going into print and with a small limited edition print run, and it being sold more as of a collector's item.
Yeah, each piece is like a work of art. And really show the images.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I wish you the best of luck with it, that's for sure, because it looks beautiful.
Fingers crossed.
Right, another live question. Let's go.
So many questions. So Gary has asked, are you both the photographer and cinematographer in your sessions, or for the video, are you playing the part of director and your team has others behind the camera?
So when I'm doing stills and motion at the same time, I will have 2 separate crews, but I'll work very, very closely with the DOP that I'm working with. So, you know, when we have that testing period beforehand, we'll kind of have that. I'll work really closely with them. Most of the time, I want them to kind of match the kind of look of the stills as much as possible in the motion part of it. But obviously, you know, things look and translate different to something moving to something that's a still image. There's a lot that you can't translate that way. So I'll work really closely with them, and we'll just feed off each other. So I'll kind of direct and be like, oh, I feel like the lighting needs to be a bit more like this, and they'll come up with an idea. So we really do work. I'll probably work with the DOP more on a collaborative level when it comes to lighting for the motion.
DOP, by the way, is director
of
photography.
Sorry, yeah.
So just for those that don't know, but you're still directing what you want them to shoot.
But I'm very much directing what we're shooting.
Yeah. And lighting, you're lighting it as well.
I wouldn't say that I'm 100% lighting it. I'll work with the director of the photography to light it together, because they'll have a little bit more of an understanding of how it's translated into
video
a moving
lighting,
image. Yeah.
But the style of the lighting that you'd configured
is
for the
directed
stills
by me.
is by you, and then you're just basically trying to follow that continuity through. As a matter of fact, I think we've got a little video on some of your defined video shoots as well. I think it's slide 10. Let's just take a quick look at this. I mean, we can have a talk while we're looking at this. So what is the sort of objective or purpose here? Is this part of the defined magazine for the online videos? Is it part of a commercial requirement, the video? Where and how does the video shoot come into being part of a stills or magazine shoot? Is it for their social media? What purpose is it?
It really is. I feel like with, you know, obviously online and the access that we have today, that I feel like having the moving version of that can represent what we've just shot for the stills edit.
It's beautiful.
yeah, it's just a really nice collection to have that.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't really need to do the motion, if I'm honest. I think, you know, everyone was obsessed with doing these kind of like motion covers, if you like. I didn't really kind of want to continue that. I wanted them to just be kind of mini little films in their own little way. But it is really just capturing a moving version of the essence of the shoot. Yeah.
Fantastic. You guys are going to love the next question, because we're going to talk about equipment and kit and lighting. But before we do, let's see what this next question is.
This question's kind of about that.
Ooh.
So
Wow.
Paul's asked, when you're doing photo shoots and video deliverables, do you use more continuous lighting, or are you switching lighting setups in between?
So it's a really good question. So with I mean, this is a really good example of actually both of these pictures. So with my still stuff, I use a mixture of constant light and flash anyway.
So, right.
Because I mean, the Vanessa Kirby is such a great example. So the apertures, you know, the brand apertures.
Aperture LED, yeah, we've got a couple here.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, the 600D Pro, yeah. So I will use those a lot with mainly with the spotlight attachments actually.
Okay.
And then
and you're shooting stills with those?
I'm shooting stills. So I use the apertures a lot for stills.
Right.
For lots of reasons, but and I really do like to be able to see.
See
I like to be able to see the
live.
light.
Yeah. No,
and then I'll mix that in with flash. So what that allows me to do is to and I shoot on the bulb setting a lot. So it allows me to freeze parts of an image
with the flash,
the parts that I want to be frozen,
right.
and then move parts of the image where the apertures are or the constant light is, and move the parts of the image. So it really allows me to control.
Right. So you're getting a bit of that ghosting blur plus the freezing.
Yeah.
And
the movement. So this was, and then with Alan coming here, which was another BAFTA portrait session that I did, most of this is apertures actually, and then his face is lit with just one single flash.
Right.
It's all very. I mean, it seems simple in my head, but it's not really.
No.
It's actually quite technical the way that I do it.
But you've got used to it. It becomes simple.
And I've forgotten the question. I've actually forgotten the actual question.
Well, no, you've answered the question pretty well there about the mix of lighting that you use. But we're gonna move a little bit more into my equipment question. So you've mentioned apertures. What type of studio flash do you use? Have you got a particular brand you rent every time, or do you own it, or just whatever the studio has? What's your go-to flash setup, and what cameras do you use?
I'm only chuckling. No, I know. I'm just chuckling to myself actually, because I am very specific about what I use.
Okay.
So if there's and I actually don't own any. I don't know apart from my camera kit and a couple of laptops. I literally don't own anything because
you rent all your
I rent
lighting.
all my stuff. For a couple of reasons. One, I don't have my own studio, and it's like storage. You know, silly little things like that. I travel a lot for work, and you know, the movement of kit.
All that equipment,
and then I light shoots. I mean, everything has the same process, but my kit list from shoot to shoot can be quite different.
Yeah.
I was going to say something really good, and I've lost it.
Well, we were going to talk about what brand you
that's
always
right.
go with.
Oh yeah, that's it. And I said I was chuckling to myself. So for the flash stuff, I'll use Prophoto a lot. But I am very particular about. And I'm only laughing because sometimes if some of the studios, specifically in London, know me really, really well. And if they've got like an older version of something, I'm like, I'll call them up, and the lighting guys will know me. And I'm like, why have I got the... I'm like, why have I got the older version? It doesn't work as good. I'm like, I need this one.
You're
so
too
I'm very.
techy for them. They're trying to fob you off with some
I know,
stuff.
but it really is important to me. So like, I don't know if do you work with the Prophoto stuff a lot?
No,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, all broncolor.
You're broncolor. Yeah. You're like, no Prophoto in this place.
I have used Prophoto before.
But like, if anybody out there has used any of the Prophoto stuff, there's the new small spot attachment that's come out quite recently.
Yeah.
Now that compared to the old version is so like drastic.
Okay.
I actually can't. I cannot use the old version one because you can't see the modelling light. It doesn't have the dividers. Like it's so different to. So if I, like it's funny because. I'm just laughing about reliving some conversations.
You've given me the old projection spot. I want the new one.
Take it off
Get
the
it
bill.
in now.
I can't use it. I'm not literally, but it really is. So I am a bit of a production nightmare, because I will have lots of conversations with the lighting companies beforehand, and I'm like, is it definitely this model?
I bet they love you. Eh? I bet they love you.
No, very specific about it. Yeah.
Right. And then for your video lighting, is that dependent on the video crew you've hired, or like you mentioned, aperture lights that you're using also with projection spots?
I mean, it really depends on what the shoot is. So, like, if it's a commercial shoot where there's a big budget, then we have more budget for lighting. So then we'll probably really mix it up, to be honest, and then have more like. Bigger lights, use the breezes a lot, still the apertures a lot. I mean, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then, but if we're doing something like the videos that we just saw, a lot of the pro photo modelling pulps actually work quite well and translate quite well through motion. Yeah. And I think because I mix a lot of the apertures anyway, we actually find that we only really need to make a couple of tweaks for it to actually look quite good in the motion part, with us actually not really having to change much. With how I'm shooting it on stills, it might actually just turn the modelling lights on and then let's move it around and make it look good, and then move the apertures here, you know, adjust a few camera settings. So we have like the constraints.
Because I noticed actually on a couple of your Stephen Graham portraits, slide number 25, there is more noise in that image, as if you've actually increased the ISO to cope with a lower level of, you know, maybe modelling light projection. But it works no matter what, or is that just deliberate noise you've added in after? What's the story? I
mean, a lot of that is actually quite deliberate. So I really like to try and strip away the kind of digital look. I used to shoot on film and I would happily do it and probably get excited about it again, but I'm such a quick, fast-paced working photographer that shooting digital and shooting to tethered to a laptop really works well for me, but I don't like that really perfect, you can see every single pore, like digital look. So it's literally my mission in the way that I grade. I do a lot of my grading myself and add a lot of grain into it because I actually want it to look a bit more film-like.
You're bringing it back to analog. Yeah, definitely feels that. Now, he's incredible, this guy. He's skyrocketed his career. He's an incredible actor. I've seen him having sort of secondary roles with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, and then obviously in the recent Adolescent series on Netflix, which is a huge hit. Do you mind me asking, what's he like?
Oh God, Stephen's just, I mean, there's no words.
Is he a nice guy?
He's just the most humble, beautiful human being that you'll ever meet.
I'm glad to hear that.
I learned so much from him, and actually, and I think, and it's funny because with this shoot, I wanted to do when I was doing my research on Stephen, I really wanted to do something very different to what he's been done before on a photo shoot, and I really wanted to capture his brilliant mind and his talent, and I wanted it to be quite not intense, but there's
a depth, a real depth in there.
Yeah, and it really and he's such a he's one of Britain's most talented actors, I think. I mean, he definitely is, and
he's becoming a national treasure, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's funny, we shot this just before Adolescence released, and it was kind of the perfect timing, really, because there's so much emotion. I mean, you know, just reliving the conversations and the whole kind of shoot experience that we had together. It was really special, and I mean,
I'm glad to hear
he's
a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Right, let's take another question from the audience.
Yeah. One question here which we thought would come up is your views on the emerging trend towards AI.
Oh, well, that is on my question list after, so I'm going to park that one, all right, because that's
Okay.
coming up later in my list.
Yeah.
Do you have a different one?
I do. What advice would you give an inexperienced fashion photographer to develop directing skills? Would you say work with a variety of models or a small number? Keep sets simple or experiment? What would you say to them?
I mean, practice. You know, it's really. I think when you're first starting out, access is always a bit of an issue, isn't it? It's, you know, trying to find people to photograph. You know, even just asking someone, can I take, you know, can you spend a day with me? Can I take, you know, sometimes that can feel a bit daunting, can't
Yeah.
it? But I feel like, God, what would my best advice be for that? I wouldn't overcrowd yourself initially. I would have as many conversations with people as possible. Maybe if there's people that maybe want to get into modelling and they also want to practice, how can you problem solve that problem? How can you find those people if they're local to you and you can start a relationship with them? Maybe you can practice together. And I feel like actually removing a lot of the noise, as in like not having a huge crew initially, would be my best advice. So then you can really get stuck into a creative idea. And also go into it with a really strong idea of what you want. Because if you just set up this shoot and you don't know what you're doing and you're like,
just
oh yeah, just
goes all over-
move.
yeah.
Let's just move. You know, like, you know, I know it's hard, but what I used to do is I used to be a bit scared of this, but just a very long time ago, but I got myself a credit card and I would like have a vision for something, you know, if I was testing a fashion shoot or with an up and coming model. And I'd kind of have a bit of an idea and I'd be like, okay, I want really like long floaty dresses because I want to get like the light shining through it and I want to get them really big and want them moving. Obviously that's a very simple idea, but you know, if I didn't have those dresses, then how could I direct somebody to move and kind of express that? So then I would not spend a lot of money, but because I had no money, I would then buy just a couple of items. Maybe I'd go shopping and spend a day and I'd try and get the biggest floaty things. And people in the clothes shops thought I was crazy because I'd be there doing this. You know, go, what can I do with this? You know, so yeah, I think just having a clear idea of the vision and finding someone who also maybe wants to also practice the same as you and you're actually helping each other.
So pre-visualise it a bit first and not just go random at it so that you've got a theme and concept.
Yeah, is that good advice?
Yeah, I think that is very good advice. Very good advice. Another question, actually. I know I'm gonna hit Rachel with a really tricky one.
So before, Karl, you asked about lighting and cameras, but you didn't actually get to what cameras.
Oh yeah, we didn't get.
So Gary's
we're so absorbed in this, we just completely forgot what we're chatting about. What cameras do you use? Sorry.
I shoot with the Canon R5, the
nice.
mirrorless camera. On most things, to be honest, I love it. It's brilliant. I think like being quite small and not really like muscly, I find a lot of the bigger, bulkier cameras quite difficult to handle, like for a full day shoot. So yeah, like the R5 is.
What lens choices do you put on that?
Oh, I'm so boring. I normally just shoot. Do you know what? I actually just shot with a 50mm for many years because it's kind of like the truest kind of more standard sort of portrait kind of prime lens, isn't it? But actually now we'll shoot with like a 24-105. I don't know why. I've just kind of transitioned into a zoom lens. I just feel like it's more
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel more comfortable with that now. But I've got to be honest. I'm really not that overly creative with my choice of camera kit. I mean, I think if I'm shooting something where maybe I've got a commercial client that, and I always ask this question when I'm in pre-production meetings, what size do you want the files? You know, obviously, where's it going to go? How big is it going to be printed? You know, mostly things are online now or on digital screens. So actually the R5 is perfect. Like it's actually big enough for most people, but I will rent, I think it was the Fuji that I used last time. So I've got
GSX.
Is it that?
medium
I can't even
format,
remember the name of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
if now and again I'll use like more of a medium format, 100 megapixel camera.
I
But
can recommend Hasselblad's.
I did. Yeah, I tried all of them,
Yeah.
and I just find them so big and bulky to work with, and also like quite slow. Like I really
the
struggle with
R5's much quicker.
I'm
The
like, oh my
R5, I
gosh,
think,
yeah.
so that's like 50 megapixel or something.
It's
Anyway,
pretty
isn't
good.
it?
Yeah, it's
quite
great.
high
It's
resolution.
really good.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't feel the need to move on from that at the moment.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. Right, here we go. In the last interview, I asked you, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I really
Now,
struggled with this
that's only
question.
5 years away now.
No.
So what do you hope to achieve in the next 5 years?
Oh, I've got so many goals, but I do really struggle with this. Really struggle with questions like that. I see Defined being recognised as a really well-known alternative to the mainstream.
Okay.
So really putting a lot of energy in growing that. I'm very lucky, very grateful to have already got it to a point where it is now, and to have the support and these wonderful collaborations that I'm having with talent. But I just really want more of that, and I want to. It really is a journey for me. I've never started a magazine before. There's an awful lot that I need to learn, and I'm totally okay to admit that. Like, I'm still having lots of conversations with people, going, "So how does this work? How do you do that?" Like, I didn't even. There's a lot that I don't know. So I'm still having a lot of those conversations now. So I really hope that I've learned an awful lot, and I become. Yeah, that has developed into, a
So
bit more of a living thing.
You might be this queen editor of this big magazine in 5 years' time. We'll have to wait and see.
No, well, I said we should do another one in 5 years.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yay. But yeah, I mean, personally, continuing, and I hope to continue to be a good mother to my daughter. Work-life balance. Always. I don't want to just, I am very passionate about what I do, so passionate, and I love working, and it's so sad, but sometimes I'm so excited for a Monday. I love the weekends, but
There's
I'm like,
not
yes.
many people in here who would say that.
I know. So really, is if I still feel really excited about Monday in 5 years.
I can't wait till the weekend's over.
No, I know, but how amazing is it to do something that you just love, and you enjoy the weekend just as much as you do working week.
Well, that's funny, actually, because one of my next question was, you're obviously a very busy lady. Have you managed to balance work and family life? And what do you like to do outside of work?
Yeah.
It sounds like nothing. I just want to go to work on Monday.
No, I'm like, work. Probably, I definitely do work more than I should, probably. Like, it's, most evenings I kind of get a bit bored just sort of sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I've got this idea, let me just jot that down.
Yeah.
and then the
But you've got a
laptop comes
3-year-old
out,
daughter,
and you're like,
a husband, you've
yeah.
How do you juggle it all?
Yeah. I just have to be really disciplined. So, I don't want to be, the mom that's just never there. So, like we went away to Greece last week, and I just completely shut off and really just had such a wonderful time with them. But actually, a good task that I did with my husband at the start of this year was, because he's also like really busy. He works in the music industry, and he's also a drummer in a band called False Reality, if anybody wants to check it out. He is going to literally hate me for doing
False Reality, guys.
I think he's actually watching, so yeah, sorry, Louis. But we actually did this task, and I said to him, I don't want to just work this whole year, and then, because you know how precious it is, especially when you've got a young one, you don't want that to just fleet by and be like, oh. So we scheduled in a month's worth of like weeks. I think it was even more than that. I think we did like 6 weeks where we would just take that off work, regardless of whether we were going on holiday or not, but we would spend that time with each other. But I would say, because now I've put myself into a position where I'm quite not choosy about what I do, because I'm very grateful for any opportunities that comes by, and I still have quiet periods where I still have that panic. Let's be real. It's just business, isn't it? But I will. If I'm having a very busy couple of weeks, I'll make sure that the next couple of weeks I'll spend lots of time with my family. So I'm. It has to be balanced.
What do you do to sort of for release? What do you do? What do you like to do outside of work? Have you got any other hobbies or passions, or are you just solely focused on photography?
I really do enjoy actually going to the gym.
Oh yeah?
I'm a bit obsessed with it. And I'm laughing at this because anyone that knows me personally will know how obsessed I am about it's so sad because this is such a lame answer, but I really enjoy getting up, working out, and going to Starbucks and getting a frappuccino.
The simple pleasures.
The simple pleasures.
The simple pleasures.
But what's so wonderful about that, though, because I think it is really, really important in life, and I do think what makes your life happy are the simple things. You know, going to the gym, getting that coffee at that certain time. You know, I love going to the local pub with my family, you know, and when it's random as well. So, you know, I'll pick up my daughter from I can't call it nursery. She doesn't allow me to call it nursery. It has to be preschool. She's in preschool now. She's 3. That, you know, sometimes, you know, my parents will text and I'll be like, oh, do you want to meet in the pub for a drink? And I'm like, yes, and I love that. And then we'll just chat about our day. You know, it's very simple. But, you know, things like that, you know, adventures, going on holidays, you know, don't really get to go to the cinema much anymore, but, you know, just all the nice things.
But you don't have any sort of like specific separate hobbies?
No, I love art, naturally. I started out drawing and painting, and that's kind of what I thought I wanted to do. But then I picked up a camera, and obviously, you know, the rest is history. But, you know, I actually would like to, and I've said this to my sister, because she's quite a good drawer, actually. We would like to do like a life drawing lesson or something at some point. But it's just, I need to try and fit that in.
Brilliant, brilliant. Let's take another question, Emma.
Yeah, a question here from James. In managing the light for your subtle mix of constant light, strobe, slow shutter, etc., are you and your team dressed all in black, or are there any requirements there or special considerations in the studio?
Yeah, good question. So I always request a studio that can be blacked out because I shoot, I'd say generally my camera settings are, well, I shoot on the bulb setting a lot. If I'm not on the bulb setting, I'll actually shoot at like sometimes even a 30th of a second. With quite a high f number. So I'll try not to go too below like f8 if I can, because I still want there to be sharp points in the picture with the flash. I'm sorry, I've gone off on a tangent. I forgot the question. What's best?
No, they're just talking about that, you know, that environment and the studio and lighting. Do you have to wear any special things, like? Because sometimes, for example, product photography, you're close to it. If you're wearing a red shirt, it might reflect on it. But,
yeah. I think so. I don't normally with what me and my crew are wearing. It doesn't normally make a difference because everything's so lit in such a low way, and I'm not really close. I've got that separation. So and weirdly, it's happened a few occasions, and again, it's been so funny when this has happened that I've walked in and me and my assistants are like all wearing the same. I think once we all walked in, we were all wearing like the same stripe, like the similar stripy top, and I was like, you can't make this stuff up. So no, it doesn't matter what we wear.
No, good. Another question, Emma.
Yeah. How do you translate what you want from the shoot to, say, your DP, DOP, and what sort of critical skills are there in order to translate your vision to your team, model, and everyone around you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I will. So before the shoot day, I'll obviously have a lot of back and forth of ideas, or even if it's just some words or just a vibe or like a general idea of kind of what we want to do initially, and then start building visuals around that. I mean, you could be talking like a mood board that's like almost sometimes 20 pages long. And then I'll ask the other members of the creative, you know, the team about their ideas and their thoughts. So we're having all these conversations sort of back and forth for a couple of weeks. But I find what really makes that creativity really kind of spark with everybody and makes it kind of drive, if you like, excuse me, is that when everybody is there in the morning, and I won't do it like if it's just one person's turn. I'll wait until the whole team is there. I mean, everybody. And then we'll have like a good 20-minute to half an hour chat. And I'll get all the mood boards out and I'll express really what I would love from the shoot in terms of like emotion, and then we'll start looking through the rail. We'll then start really, we'll all start collaboratively talking about, you know, the hair and makeup choice, everything, even down to the talent. So yeah, it really, I think from there, and again from my excitement, and if you have to know how to say it in the right way as well, because you want to empower everybody with you and you want everyone to be invested in the creative. So if there's something that I feel like isn't quite working, and I say this to everybody, I'm so collaborative. I'm like, even if we're shooting, it could be that actually what I'm doing is not making something quite click. Maybe the lighting is what's the problem and not something else in the image. And I think being open and being vulnerable that way, and knowing that we're all here because we just want to get that iconic shot, and the best possible thing is that I'm okay to have that feedback, as long as everybody else that I'm working with is also okay to receive that too. So we all feel like we're in a safe space. But as a group,
you just want the result.
Yeah, and I think by creating that safe space and allowing people to collaborate with you is really important. So yeah, it's done by that. It's done by managing. It's a really important point to not just be so obsessed with the technicality. It depends what type of photographer and what you're shooting, because I appreciate that maybe if you do more product stuff, it's probably going to be not like more technical, but do you know what I mean? It's very driven by the technical. But with this sort of stuff, it really is managing. You have to think about the environment and the managing of the people just as much as the technical stuff as well.
Yeah. Maybe even the mood of the whole set or everyone. But it sounded to me, what you're explaining there is that you're just getting everyone on board with the theme and the idea at the beginning, but also your wonderful energy is getting them enthusiastic and passionate about it as well.
Yeah.
So it works, obviously. Right. Photography is a very tough industry to break through. What do most aspiring photographers get wrong, or what stops them making it?
Such a difficult one, because everyone's got such a different journey. And I feel like as creative people, perhaps maybe sometimes it's hard for us to think of ourselves as a business. And I think that some of the creatives that I practiced with when I was at like school or college or even at university, I think there's some that maybe thought that that's what they wanted to do, but actually when they realised, gosh, what I have to do to actually make it into a career and to get there doesn't quite sit well with me. I think I you know, it is a really tough business, but I think that having confidence in what you're selling is really important. Knowing who to sell it to. Like there's no point, I don't know, let's say you're really at the beginning of your career and you've got like 20 pictures in a portfolio. And I had a really amazing bit of advice from, I can't remember the lady's name now. It was a really well-known magazine, and I was even surprised I even got the meeting, but I was just managed to get in there. And I put way too much in you know, it was the time when people used to walk around in these massive printed portfolios. Now I just walk around with a big iPad, or it was a Zoom meeting. But you know, this really thick book, and I just put everything in there, everything that I just shot. It was just so random, and it just so didn't make sense. And she sat there and she went through it, and she said, you know, Rach, it would have been so much more valuable and more and better if you just come with like these 5 pictures.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and then I kind of like, I was so vulnerable in that meeting, because I was like, oh, yeah. She was like, you don't quite know what photographer you are yet, do you? And I was like, no, because I had it in me, but it really was a journey for me, and I really wish, you know, obviously, like, I don't regret any of it, because it was a journey. And
how long ago was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Some 40 next year, so 19 years ago. 19
years ago.
It's quite a very early.
But look 20s. Where you've come to. Look where you are now. Do you ever pinch yourself and think, You know,
Mate,
or do you just know that it's because you worked hard?
I think because I've worked so hard and I'm so passionate about it, and I'm so driven still. And I realised this recently. Actually, I'm like, gosh, it's funny. You might have the Vogue covers now, or you might have that. You might have shot with that person or done that. And yes, it is amazing. And I'm so proud. I'm so grateful. But when you're creatively driven, you're always looking at the next thing.
Yeah.
Okay, how can I better this? How can I do this differently? What can I do that? And I think that if you have that drive and you have that passion,
and you need the
you've got to keep
creativity.
going. Yeah, and you've got to keep going. But you've got to think smart though as well. You've got to think like, okay, I have to take myself out. I have to take my personal feelings out of my work for a moment, and I have to think like a business person.
I was going to say,
How am I
are you a
gonna sell
business
it?
lady? Do you consider yourself a business lady as well?
I've never really thought of myself that way. But I again, this is me being really, really like, I mean, it's not sad. I find it really exciting, but I actually like the office days sometimes because I feel like if I'm reaching out to somebody new and I'm writing that new email to somebody, I'm like, oh, think about the possibilities. I'm like, this email could literally open doors, you know, and it might be that, you know, that you still, you don't hear back. I mean, you know, it still happens. You email someone, you don't hear back. Or maybe they email you back 6 months later and like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't take things personally because you don't know what somebody else, you don't know what that other person or that company or that, you don't know what they're, you know, like when I'm up for a job and I don't get it, it's hard not to be like, oh, I didn't get it, I really wanted it, why didn't I get it? Was it me? Was it my work? You know, whatever. You've got to just move on from it because it could just be as simple as, they weren't right for this brief or whatever. So I think, just, so you've got to just keep going, and you've got to look at yourself as a business
tenacity
and a creative.
But well, I think that answers my question, because I think often, because we get that question asked here a lot as well, and it you know, for every one successful photographer, there's 5,000 trying to do the same thing and the same role. So you have to have all of those attributes that you've just spoken about to make it through. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, which relates to the person who asked the question earlier, but we're coming to that. So what are your thoughts on the photography industry in general? Has it changed in the last 5 years? That's the first part of my question, part A. And part B is AI a threat to certain areas of photography going forwards? So let's first of all talk about the photography industry in general, because from my point of view, AI has hit us boom in the last year.
Yeah.
When we had this conversation, when we had our talk last time, it wasn't even a
exist.
thing. It didn't exist,
No.
okay? So just disregarding AI for the moment, what's your thoughts on just the photography industry in general over the last 5 years? Any changes there? Any changes in style, workflow, requirements? Just general thoughts.
Just general, yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, since then we've had the pandemic, and obviously that really was a slow start getting back.
Yes.
You know, people and their budgets and companies, and you know where are they spending
Travel,
it?
everything.
You know, so just kind of putting that aside for 1 minute, because obviously that was changed. I do think it has been, just from conversations that I've had and my own experience, it has been a bit of a roller coaster. I think it has been quite a tough couple of years. You know, last year was tough for a lot of people. You know, from speaking to people in the industry, you know, but there is always work out there, and I think, again, it is just having that drive to just keep pushing yourself and making those connections and like marketing yourself, because you can't just sit there and just expect it to come, because that's just not going to happen, is it?
Yeah.
So, I think it has been a little bit tougher in recent years than it was 5 years ago. I've found that, you know, we've talked about this already, that, you know, a lot of the time now, the stills and the motion quite come hand in hand more and more. I still do lots of just still shoots, but a lot more than the last time that we spoke. It's now kind of both, and I love doing both, which is great. I think it's hard. It's harder. It would be much harder if I was like, oh, I just want to do stills. I don't want to do the motions part, side of it. I'm not trying to say that you have to move into that space, but I think it is a good business decision to be able to offer that service, if you would like, to clients, to say, I can also do the moving content for you as well as a package. You know, I think that really helps us that I'm confident in that space.
Making yourself more employable by doing that.
Yeah.
So let's go on to part B. Is AI a threat to certain areas of photography going forwards?
Yeah. I don't, so this is just my opinion, because I might be completely wrong, who knows. I feel like it's going to grow and it's going to hit us so, I mean it already has, but it's going to grow so quickly that we could even be having a very different conversation in a year's time, who knows. But my thoughts on it are that as human beings, we're still going to appreciate photography as it is, in its truest form, and film, and that authenticity that comes with it. I really think that will never go away. I think that if, you know, I'm photographing somebody in the public eye, someone well known, an AI generated version of that as part of their cover shoot for a press run they're doing for isn't going to have the same emotional impact than it would as if we're actually taking a photograph of them in real life.
Lacking that connection.
Yeah, and I think what it's going to do is it's going to generate a more, I don't know that people appreciate art and photography still, but maybe that's going to be more appreciated, the art of it. Does that make sense? The realism, the authenticity of it, and maybe people are going to understand the process of it a bit more and be more interested in the behind the scenes, which they already are, and really want to tap into the minds of like the creative aspect of it. But I also think on the AI side of it that is going to generate a new type of art, a new type of artist. I don't know what you know, these artists call themselves, whether it's, you know, an AI artist or whatever. I know there's a lot of big photographers that I've noticed that are using it a lot as part of their work. I pride myself very much in doing things very authentically in camera, but I would like to not sit here and say that I'm never going to experiment with it, because I think that just being curious, I think it'd be interesting to experiment with it, even just on a personal level, just to understand it and to actually be excited by it, and to kind of almost get to know it in a way, like it's kind of its own thing. So I think we have to be excited by it. I think that we have to we have to understand it. We have to understand that there is going to be these new artists, there is going to be this new form of content, which is still which is happening now. I think in terms of it affecting, and photographers worrying about, is it going to affect their business? I don't really know, but I would like to think that it wouldn't, because I don't know. For example, if you're a portrait photographer, but maybe you do more like headshots, for example, you do like maybe corporate headshots. If it was me, I would maybe think about just how I'm selling myself, and how maybe I should sell myself in a different way. Maybe I need to have meetings with those clients, and kind of like, you don't want to put any ideas into their head. Like, oh, by the way, did you know you can do it with an AI-generated filter? You don't want to do that. But maybe just having like conversations and thinking about like, okay, what is the next 12 months going to look for me? Trying to figure out, maybe, do you think that they might indulge in that? Maybe you should ask the question, what's your relationship like with your current clients? Do you feel like you can ask them that? I don't know. It's a really difficult one, isn't it?
I mean, when I look at your work, I don't see how AI could impact this level of authenticity that you deliver with your images, because I certainly want to look at work like this. I don't want to look at some AI constructed image at all. My opinion as well is that I think a lot of people are already starting to get sick of it. It's like, when I go through social media now, you see some AI-driven content, and now I want to look at social media less, because I'm not getting the connection.
Well, we can't connect to it. We can't connect to it emotionally.
Even if it looks super realistic, there's something about it. So
that's
my take on it.
I think you're totally right. And hasn't YouTube, I mean, I might be completely wrong, but hasn't YouTube brought in this new thing where they're
going to devalue
the
AI.
AI generated stuff, and it needs to be more like authentic.
But I think generally people are going to become less trusting of it and dubious about it. But the people are social animals.
Yeah.
They want real connectivity, and I think that's something very difficult to put your finger on and what it is, but it certainly comes across in your images.
Yeah.
And I don't think AI will replace that, but let's see. I mean, there'll be some commercial. I did see, actually, I sort of read a story about Guess, the brand, were using an AI model, and it was published in Vogue, and there was a bit of hoo-ha about it. And they'd gone to a specialised agency that just generates AI supermodels and clothes and stuff. But I almost felt more like it was a publicity stunt than a real determined effort to make a great advert. Yeah. It almost seemed like they knew it was going to generate more of a hoo-ha.
They got all the press from it.
Yeah. Because the actual images still looked didn't have that thing about them. You know? But
maybe they were just testing it out to see what the reaction would be. It'd be interesting to have those conversations.
But the images that AI can generate already are literally super photorealistic. But there's still something, when I look at them, I think there's something not quite right with that. And it doesn't feel.
You can't connect to it.
It's like that whole. It was never. It never happened. It was not a real place. It was not a real person. There's something about the human psyche, I think, can pick up on that. You know? But
it's true.
Anyway, let's see what the audience got to say. They might say something completely
No, you're
different,
wrong.
or they might be asking another question altogether. Let's find out.
No, I have got one kind of related to that. So Martin was asking, how do you feel sort of about the ethics of AI and being used in the industry?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. Again, I feel like if it's a creative choice and you're honest about it, and not like you need to put a label on it, but for me personally, at the moment, it was kind of like what we were just saying. If I am going to be fed something AI generated, I kind of want to know that it's AI generated. But I think that artistically, if it's a choice and you're proud and you're outspoken about it is AI generated, and this is what I can do. This is how I've done it. This is how I've created. I think that's kind of brilliant, and which is why I think we need to be excited about these new emerging artists that are experimenting with it, because it is a new way of generating art and a new way of seeing and thinking about things. Whether we can emotionally connect to it yet or not is another thing. But I think for me, I
You're not dismissing it yet.
Yeah,
because it could be a tool.
Yeah. I think it depends how good the creative is and what the creative idea is.
I have seen some product photographers using AI just to generate the background scene. Yeah. So maybe a bar out of focus with a beach, and then they're shooting the drinks, whatever. You could argue, well, someone could have also generated that background in CGI, in 3D modeling software, which is sort of similar, but it needs more time and more effort.
Yeah.
When it comes to the ethics of it, the ethics I've seen, or that I worry about having a 16-year-old daughter, is these perfection-driven models that are not really, they're not human, they're not realistic. So is there an ethics problem with that? Is that the generation of these AI supermodels where they're just perfect in every way, no flaws, skin, body. I know you get supermodels that look amazing as well with the retouching and everything else. But are there ethics around that, for example?
I mean, again, I think it's just all about education, isn't it? I mean, my daughter's only 3, so I've got, quite a long time to go to worry about to that point. But yeah, I mean, it definitely you do think about it, and there is a worry there. But I would like to think that you would try and just educate your little ones as much as possible. To know that it's not real, and that it's not a real person, and that, and then I still think there is a lot of work to be done in the industry in terms of leveling out that kind of playing field of, diversity, body shape. Obviously, it's still there, but I do think there is still a lot of work to be done. But again, I just think as long as something is AI generated, and we know that it's AI generated, I feel like we just have to almost you have to try and educate them to detach themselves that this is not real.
A lot of some of the social media channels or whatever are now saying this is AI generated content. But I mean, even if you step back, for example, to Photoshop, some of the European magazines make the beauty brands like L'Oreal or whatever say this image has been photoshopped in the corner of the advert in European countries. So, you know, I don't know whether, you know, whether that's going to apply to the UK with AI generated images. But if in Europe they're already saying that for Photoshop retouching, then they're definitely going to say it for AI content. So I don't know. Yeah, education obviously is a big part of it. Right, before we take another question, if you weren't a photographer, what would your career choice be? And you're not allowed to say artist because we know that's the background you come from. I want to know if you want to be a fighter pilot, a fisherman, or a carpenter. I know your dad's was a builder. Would you be a builder? What is there a career?
I would definitely do something practical. I've always wanted to, like, you know, I was like the arty kid at school, so I've always wanted to. Do you remember that show Art Attack?
Yes,
I used to love Art Attack. You just get me with anything and start making things and building things. So I think I probably would do something. You said I can't say artist. I probably would want to do something quite creative.
I'll let you be a sculptor.
Like, damn it.
You can be a sculptor.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, when I was a little girl, I mean, like really, really little, I mean, people used to laugh at me when I used to say this, but I actually wanted to be the lollipop lady.
Really?
I was like, everyone used to ask me and everyone used to laugh, and I used to be like, you know, I mean, it's sweet because I was only such a small girl, but I realise now how cute was that, and it's because I really enjoyed that encounter with, like, the kind of first thing in the morning, go hello, you know, because I'm such a people person. And I realised that was kind of like me saying, I want to do something where I'm interacting with people.
So when did photography step into your life? You transgressed from art into photography. So when did art step into your life? Were you a teenager at school, or what was it?
I mean, I was like never really good at the academic stuff. I wasn't bad at it, but I really was not great at like anything really. I mean, maths, English, always struggled. I was always in the bottom of my class. And you know, I was one of those kids at school that used to dread English class, you know, when they used to make you go round every week and you have to read, you know, it was your turn to like read out into the class, and I think, oh God. And it wasn't because I wasn't a confident person, it's just being dyslexic and just not being able to like read the pages. I just think, but yeah, so both of my granddads loved photography, and they had cameras and they loved it, and they kind of introduced it to me. But you know, generally just really arty and would always paint and draw. But they both introduced me to photography, and I started to take pictures to draw from. But then just realised, I think because as you can tell, I'm very quick, I speak quick, everything that I do is high energy. Calm down, Rachel. Photography really allowed me to like have that like quickness and that kind of that energy, whereas the idea of sort of sitting down for a whole week to paint one picture, I didn't get I became quite depressed with that. So that's kind of really where the shift happened. And then I would get people at like college and at school to like model for me. I used to get my friends standing in the middle of the road and ask them to kiss, and they'd be like, oh, you know, when we were 16, I'd be like, just kiss each other, you know. So I was directing people from since I was a teenager.
Well, that's good. That's interesting to hear. So what do you love most about photography? Is it the process, the people, the result, or all of the above?
I really do like everything, but I'd say, oh gosh, it's so weird. I love being by myself and thinking, how can I photograph this person like they've never been photographed before? And how can I shape the light, and how can I start sketching and thinking about ideas? I kind of, you know, it takes me a while to get in that creative headspace, but I really love those moments. But then I really also love that energy on set when you're really coming together with a collection of people, and just, you know, even if it doesn't go to plan, but you know each other so well, and you trust each other, and you have that confidence, and you're creating things that didn't exist an hour ago. I find something so exciting by that. But yeah, so I generally just really do generally like photography over. I love the whole process. I'd say the least thing that I don't like is probably when, I don't know, maybe your post-production schedule is getting a bit tough, and maybe quantity of pictures of kind of being a bit overwhelming, which is obviously not a bad situation to be in. But I don't know whether you ever find that. I was find that a little bit more stressful. Is like just trying to cope with it after.
But you also love the people aspect, the meeting the people, and you know, whereas I'm more, I prefer not meeting people and taking pictures of objects instead that don't talk.
Which is great though, because you found your thing, you know it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love meeting people.
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean.
I would not be able to do what you do, because I think you've got to have a certain, patience as well for that.
Yeah.
That I don't think we would be tuned into. But right, let's jump back to the slide of Cate Blanchett, slide 7, please, because this relates to my next question. Here we've got this beautiful photo of Cate that you've taken, and the next photo is the shot they chose for the cover of the magazine. And let's jump back to the previous one. They're similar, but they're slightly different. You sent me the first image. I stole this one off your website. So you clearly prefer the first one, but they chose this one.
Yeah.
So my question is, on any given shoot, you obviously take many photos. How hard is it to choose the final shot, and what do you look for? And clearly, it's not what the client always wants.
Yeah, I know. I mean, these photographs were taken seconds after each other. Obviously, she's in the same. Her body's pretty much in the same position, but Cate just moved her head. So you got the one that they chose for the cover, and then that one. Yeah. I mean, they're both very beautiful pictures, and I was really happy with what they chose for the cover. But I just prefer that more direct, that kind of strong sort of look. I would. Choose this one to include in my portfolio. I mean, very happy to include both. But yeah, I suppose this is, almost another reason why Defined was born, because it's like, I can choose.
Do what you want. I
can just do what I want, which is great, But the other editors that I work with are very collaborative and very, very good too. But there's always that compromise.
Well, with this one as an example, was the magazine there making shortlists, or are you making shortlists and sending them the shortlists and then they make the final?
So I'll make the initial edit of the ones that I consider to be like the standout shots. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm on set, everybody generally has like the same feeling about the same shot, and kind of this comes back to your other question, doesn't it? Is that I really believe in my gut feeling, and it's really difficult to describe why this particular shot has made it. But it's just I see the graphics of it, I see the lines of it, I see the form of it. Everything's well balanced. The emotion's right, the styling's right, the lighting's right. It's all come together, and actually, and this isn't me like bragging any way, shape or form, because sometimes it takes 50 shots to get there, or sometimes it takes a bit longer. But if I'm really well planned and everyone's really invested in a shoot, it normally happens within the first 10 frames. And it has happened an awful lot, especially my editorial work, where I'm like, I've taken 6 shots. So I'm like, guys, we've got it.
Got it. Yeah.
And everyone's looking at the screen, and they're like, oh, and everyone knows it's that one. So, I will, if I'm shooting for somebody else and they're there, I'm like, obviously if you're happy to move on, great, because I know that we've got it, and if you're happy, but I have literally only taken 6 pictures. The edit's not going to be very big. Sometimes I'll have to shoot more just to get a variation, because, if they need to go back to the office and they need a bit more of a variation, then obviously I'm very collaborative that way. And also, you can't just
give them 6 shots.
Yeah, because
you're charging them a lot of money.
Well, I mean, exactly. So, I mean, and even on like bigger commercial shoots, I mean, gosh, I'd probably scare a lot of clients if I was like, I've just done 6 shots, but there you go. You have to, you have to give.
But you just said there, like you said to the team, I think we've got it. Isn't that a great feeling when you look at the shot and you go, that's the one. You get this sort of like buzz from it.
You can't explain it, but you just know.
Like butterflies a bit. Yeah. It's like you just see it, and But okay, cool. Let's take a question.
Yeah, we had a question from Alfonso. How do you approach post-production, and to what extent do you use Photoshop in your work?
Good question. So I am awful at the Photoshop. I can do the very, very like basic stuff. But I mean, the short answer is I work with a couple of handful of retouchers that know me really well. You know, I'll work with the odd new one here and there, but I feel like I've worked with these retouchers for quite a few years now, so they really understand like less is more for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time people actually do assume that my work is probably more retouched than it is.
I don't think it is.
But it isn't. It really isn't. If you were to see the before and the after, you actually probably wouldn't even notice much of a difference, to be honest, because I'm so articulate about the lighting, about how I want something to be shot, that I don't want to rely too much on the post-production work. So I'd say a lot of the post-production is actually probably more done with the grading side of it
Colour,
than it
contrast.
is with anything else. But very, very minimal retouching.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Right, I'm going to let, how many more questions you got? Because
Two more.
Two more. I'll let you have your two, and then I've got one more,
Okay.
and we're pretty much there.
A question from Ivan. If a client asks you to match a look or style that you've done in the past, do you find it difficult to recall or match that look? And if you can't match it or don't want to match it, do you work to move the client to trust you to go with a fresher, different look?
Oh, right. Really good question. Does he mean in terms of like the lighting?
Yeah. Does he mean
so.
have you been asked to reproduce a previous look, and can you match that?
Yeah.
Or do you say, no, I don't like that. That was from 5 years ago, like you said to me.
Yeah,
and you say, I'm not doing it. I'm doing something else.
Do something else. I've got a really good answer to that, actually. So there's one thing that I do, which again, I can totally geek out for this for like hours and hours, but I have lots of lighting diagram sketchbooks at home. So every shoot that I do, I'll make sure, even if I'm really tired, I will sketch how I'll sketch out exactly how I've lit it.
Like lighting diagram.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that my assistants know to take before I've wrapped, or you know, things change a lot obviously throughout the shoot, depending on, you know, I won't do the exact same lighting for everything, that will just take pictures so it sparks a memory. And I've got like quite a lot of these sketchbooks now, and sometimes I look back through them, and it's I'm so glad I started to do it, because I do have a lot of clients that will come to me, mainly commercial clients, that will say, I love this shoot that you did. I really, really, really would like that lighting or that vibe. And I can just go back through my sketchbooks, and I can remember. But what I will do is that if I feel like, I mean, what's really nice is that I have a lot of clients that really trust me, and they want to collaborate more. So I will, you know, we'll have a conversation. I might actually say to them, you know, depending on what we're shooting and what the product is or what the outfit is, or whether it's a beauty brand or whatever, if I feel like that particular shoot that I did that they want me to recreate isn't going to make the product shine in a way, then I will make suggestions. So I'll be like, so let's keep it in this form, but how about if we did this? And then because I really want them to get the best possible results out of, and you can only do that by, you know, obviously being honest and being quite open creatively, you know, especially if they've come to you because they want what you do best.
Well, it's kind of interesting because this crosses over a little bit. I don't know if we can bring up slide 34 and 35, which actually was your earlier work that we looked at last time. And I love this shot. This is Anna Taylor-Joy. And I think this is fantastic. And the next one, she's a supermodel, isn't she?
Coco Rocha,
But you've moved away from this style to this, you know, the darker, edgier, more, you know, different style. This sort of, I guess, is a sort of maybe brighter, fresher, I don't know. But are you refusing to shoot anything like that if a client says, you know, I want that?
No, not at all. I mean, I think, you know, if no, I mean, I certainly would not be that person. I mean, I mean, I will still get excited by it, but I think just personally as like the artist and as the style that I can kind of consider myself, you know, the kind of darker, more dramatic, more empowering stuff is, you know, where all my values kind of lie more.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I still think this is, I'm still proud of this. I'm absolutely proud of this. I mean, Anya's absolutely incredible. She still looks strong and powerful and absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like, it's not hugely different, but yeah, I mean, there is.
But you know, you had that moment like where you put 200 images on a board and threw
I know,
150 of them off.
Yeah, it's so
but like
hard.
the next slide, which this one.
I feel like this is very different.
This is very different. Yeah. So you wouldn't naturally now shoot like the images on the one on the right, or. Yeah.
So like, I mean, with again, both absolutely gorgeous. You know, Coca and then Joanne Froggatt here. I can pretty much create any brief that anyone gives me, but I kind of feel like I've never really understood sometimes when a client will go to a particular artist and ask them to do a brief if that's not what they're strongest in.
Yeah.
And it always, and you know, when I was shooting here, it was me kind of more following other people's briefs instead of really embodying and putting myself into it and what I do best. I think that I can still do it, and I can still do it well. I can still, somebody wants me to do a really beautifully lit daylight soft picture, I can do it because I've got the experience and the technical knowledge to do it. And it's not like I would ever bring myself less involved in it and not put my all into it. But I think that if you're, you know, maybe perhaps there's a couple of people watching here that actually employ photographers and that are at that side of it, like that they'll know that it's totally better to book an artist because you like what they personally do best, because I think that's where you're really going to get the best work. And I realised that when I did my exercise, when I put all my portfolio, slapped it on a wall, picked it all away, that as hard as it was letting it go, some of this stuff, which I am very, very proud of, and I still think they're beautiful, that it's a hard decision, but it just doesn't work with the style and the vision that
that's a really good point, though. You know, they should be booking you for what you do, rather than what they want you to do, which is good. Right, you one more question, yeah?
Yeah.
And then I've got one more question. And
okay.
Right, let's go for it.
Tiago has asked, in your opinion, what was the most difficult lighting setup you've ever done?
Oh, that is a good question. Oh, God, I have to really think about this. I'm such a planner that I wouldn't say it's one particular lighting setup, but I think sometimes there's those rare occasions where perhaps maybe I've been so obsessed with planning and designing the lighting of something that maybe it doesn't quite work out on the person that you're photographing. It doesn't work out as well as you thought it would. So then you have to evolve and change things very quickly. Yeah. So I think having a plan B and a plan C and just thinking very quickly, creatively, is also a skill that I think is quite good to develop.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of when the pressure's turned on, where you've literally got moments or minutes, or sometimes I might need to say to somebody or a client, you know, need 20 minutes just to reset, rethink this, it's not quite working. You know, that's when that's really, and you have to be on.
I suppose you could get scenarios where you've had a lighting setup that you really like that's worked for someone, but then put it on someone else and it doesn't seem to click.
Yeah, happens all the time. Yeah. So like really studying someone's skin tones, just you know,
characteristics.
Like the colour of the clothes, just everything exactly can totally be different from person to person. So you have to know how to shape light very quickly. For it to suit that person. Yeah. If something clicks in your head and you're like, okay, actually, I think I need to go a bit softer here, or I think I need to go more to the side, or I think I need to, you know, have an underlight or something. Yeah.
On average, how many sort of lights are you using on a stills? Let's just talk about stills. I know you're mixing some continuous light now with studio lighting, but how many lights are we talking about?
I'd say on average, anywhere between like 3 to 5 apertures with maybe 3 spotlights on them, and then the others, like the one that's open there, I actually shape a lot with. I love black wrap. I always get myself caught. You know black wrap, that like the black foil. If anybody hasn't used it before, it's just basically like a bendy black foil, but it's brilliant. I always cut myself on it because I'm so quick with using it, but I love using that because you can kind of like shape. You can shape. You can make your own shaping tools out of that and then put it in front of an aperture, and I love lighting that way as well. And then on average, probably the same amount. So like I'd say on average maybe 4 of the pro photo heads as well.
So 4 studio lights and 3 or 4.
Yeah, so it
continuous
really
lights
is mixed. Really is mixed.
Brilliant. Okay, Rachel, my final question for you. What's the most important bit of advice you've ever been told?
I love this question. I've got so many, but I need to just make it the best ones. I decided to do something a bit different last year, and I had I had a few sessions with a brilliant business coach called Tom Pinchard, who's brilliant. He's a business coach specifically for creatives, and he recommended a book that I read, which is the title of the book called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." Okay. And it's a really powerful quote because when you really think about it, if you're at a point in your career or any point starting out or whatever, and you're perhaps stuck, like I felt a bit stuck 5 years ago, that you have to change how you're working. You have to mix things up. You have to do something different. You have to diversify. You have to really change what you're doing, whether that's sending the emails the way that you do, to who, to how many, to how you're doing them, to whatever, how you're marketing yourself, to your style, to the way that you're directing, the whole thing, because what got you here will not get you there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's that.
Shift sometimes is needed.
Yeah, because if you don't evolve and you work in the same way, that's fine, but you perhaps maybe won't grow as quickly as you want, or you might stay at the same. But if you're taking a chance, if you're doing things differently and you're getting out of your comfort zone and you are taking risks, then you'll grow quicker and you'll hit your goals. The others are really is a couple of from my dad. My dad always says to me, and still does,
tidy your bedroom.
You could do, tidy your bedroom, right? What does he say? You can do anything that you put your mind to. So I really do believe in like manifestation actually, and that if you and to removing your limited beliefs. So like if you're sitting there and like, oh, I'm just no good. I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to get there. You know, that's really going to hinder your chance of actually doing it and getting there. So like really trying to problem solve and to have a positive mindset is really powerful. And I really always taken that on board. With my dad, and he still says it to me now. And the last one is the power of the word no. Yeah. I think it's really important to say no sometimes, because actually that can make you look more desirable than saying yes to everything. Yeah, that's very good advice. Right, let's just take a look at Rachel's contacts. So if you want to follow Rachel, we've got her newsletter that you can subscribe to, your website, Instagram, and then Defined magazine as well, which you should look out for. And your YouTube channel is quite interesting as well. You're interviewing people, you're painting, you're doing all sorts of stuff. Oh, we never talked about that. Yeah, but people can check that out on the Defined YouTube channel. So they can see more there, and Defined Instagram. And don't be bothering Rachel on LinkedIn and sending loads of messages about stuff, but there's her LinkedIn as well. We'll put these links on the page when we publish that later. Rachel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Karl. I've really enjoyed this interview. Your work is stunning, and I hope we can get you back in a few years' time and see how things have gone. It's been so much fun. There. Yeah. It's been such a privilege, and it's nice to be here, because I know the last one was via Zoom, but thank you so much. No, thank you so much for making the time. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.